Hello everyone. I'm your host Manisha, and I welcome you to the second episode of Product Prism Podcast powered by Product Leaders Guild, where our mission is to illuminate the diverse facet of product development, empowering you to build impactful products. I'm glad that our first episode has received amazing response from our viewers and we were able to reach to so many of you. Thanks everyone for your support. Wishing and hoping that it would continue. And here we are today with our second episode of product innovation. We want to discuss about how product innovation and how product mindset varies on corporate giant and startup mavericks. So to break it all down, we have an incredible panel of experts joining us, leaders who have built and scaled the product in both the worlds. Get ready for an insightful discussion on strategy, execution, and what truly it takes to innovate. So let's get started. First off, we have Souvik with us. He's a seasoned tech leader from a fast-paced startup with his hands-on experience in scaling tech solutions into startup innovation and agile development will provide a unique perspective on the challenges and opportunities startup face when pushing the boundaries of technology. Hi, Souvik. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Manisha. Looking forward for the podcast and hoping that I would be learning much more from this.
Sure. Joining Souvik, we have Gaurang, an accomplished leader from a well-established tech company. Gaurang has been instrumental in driving product innovation, especially in the field of data science and AI, that bridge the gap between the cutting-edge technology and practical application, making him a true thought leader in the tech community. Thank you for joining us, Gaurang.
Thank you, Manisha, for amazing introduction. And it's pleasure to join this conversation and share insights with our listeners. So thank you for that.
We have Adi, who has been shaping the future of technology at a leading global tech firm with his deep understanding of system integration and scalable product development. Adi brings an invaluable corporate perspective on leveraging tech to solve complex problems and the real world challenges. So without further ado, let's get started. Hi everyone. I think you all are as excited as I am.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So to kick things off, as our topic goes on a discussion about product mindset, about product innovation, and how it differs in corporate giant and the startup, I really wanted to understand. My question would be, so in terms of innovation, there is a lot that goes around, but what fixate everyone is about the strategy, how strategy varies from startup to a corporate culture. So maybe you want to shed more light on that.
So first up, most obvious difference is corporate strategy would involve, or rather, you don't do a corporate strategy. It comes from the corporate, right? So most of the time we do strategy, which is a subset of the direction already set by the corporate and how to achieve corporate goals. Now, that is the most fundamental difference between a startup strategy and a corporate strategy. A corporate strategy is more democratic, right? You have to take everybody into account. You have to get buy-ins. You have to coordinate with other people. And that is what strategy is all about when you're executing in a middle level. From a startup background, it is basically what the founder decides, right? So essentially, that would be the difference, according to me, the first difference of many.
Great. Gaurang, adding to what Aditya has mentioned, what do you think would be the key element of a product innovation strategy and what do you think makes it successful in your company?
Yeah, I think this is the great questions to understand that how we define the strategy, innovation strategy. So like Adi said, it comes from the top. Top here, which doesn't mean that the CEO and VPs they decide. Top means that what is our business ambition for the next year, for the next couple of years or next 5 years, right? So which is already there. And we consider and we kind of look at those strategies, those defined goals, and then we take some key aspects. For example, if the business goal is to improve the efficiency of the internal operations of the organization. So this is the business goals. And to align with these goals, we need to define the strategy which focuses on issues that is there in our operational efficiency. And we need to explore the facts or maybe the exploration for these innovations that is focusing on those kind of things. So that's the one thing. The second thing is the technology, because the technology advances rapidly now. And this is something that really influence the innovation, that is really shape the direction of the innovations, right? So these are the two factors that are the key for defining the strategies for the corporate.
Right. Your point of view, Souvik.
So one words which I can suggest, innovation is equal to survival in startups, because startups don't have the luxury of processed innovation like which have in corporates, and plus the speed, adaptability and disruption define startup innovation. Startup is not about just a technology or a different services. It's about solving real problem faster, cheaper and in better way. So we can define that in the different innovations and startups, like we have product innovation, business model innovation, and process innovation. And how the approach is different from the corporate is that they have a structured R&D, product cycle, and risk management. Startups must iterate faster, validate quickly, and pivot if something is not working. Motto is that launch fast, learn fast, fail fast.
See, in this aspect, I think one difference is more highlighted is startup is more of getting off the ground, 0 to 1. And product strategy is more of continuity, stability, and then incremental advances. So I think the best example I can give is Google. These guys virtually invented generative AI, but they didn't go live because they had their search engine there and it was doing good. So they didn't want to mess with that. They tried to bring it something on the side with translation and all that. And so OpenAI launched. And then when OpenAI launched, Google is like, oh, what? Okay, fine. Let me also launch. They already had it. So that would be the starkest difference between a startup and a corporate.
So Adi, so can I
Great.
say that startups jumpstarts the corporate benefits, corporate to put on their toes?
Startups disrupt and corporates try to manage disruption. I'll put it that way.
Okay, amazing. I mean, this conversation is going good. I really wanted to have the podcast to go this way, wherein more of a discussion and counter discussion should happen. Again, I heard Souvik saying fail fast. Now, my question is fail fast, learn fast, Souvik. I know it's a startup mantra, but does does rapid failure really lead to innovation, or does it just waste resource? And this is open for all, but startup mostly, when you talk about fail fast, still there is a wastage of resource that is attached to it. Even if you fail fast, learn fast, do you have that time of like failing? Even like what is at stake? Should companies focus more on calculated risk or encouraging such type of failures? What do you think?
Till that it was not working, they were able to pivot that this renting is not working, we should go to streaming part. So that is not a failure. You can say that isn't a waste of resources. They had that existing technology, they had that existing manpower and resources, they have their operation and strategies involved. Only different they have focused on the different area and diverted all their resources to their field. So that can say that it is not a waste of technology or a waste of resources. It's a learning process that helps you to go in better way. That's called how we have a pivot. And that moreover, we get to know that how you are validating your present scenarios and the failed variables which you have accounted. That is much more clearer than the second path.
Do you, Adi and Gaurang, in your company, do you think you have the leverage of failing, or do you want to, like you mentioned Google, Aditya, right? Like we know Google waits for everyone to be successful and then they buy it. And then they make it better. Definitely they make it better. So what do you think, according to you people are like working in some big tech giants. So what is your mantra? Do you believe in failing fast, or do you have some section divided wherein you allocate some money? Okay, this much money I'm allocating to like trial and error, hit and trial method, or how does it go in you? I really want to understand that.
If I start, and then Adi, you can add more things. But if I start that, just because of we don't want to lose or waste our resources, we should not innovate, or we should not invest in the innovation. That is the wrong statement, I would say, because if we don't innovate, then our competitors will do that. So we cannot just save our investments or save our resources. But I would say that the big organizations, the corporate, they have a certain process, and then they have to follow. So for example, we cannot invest. But the thing is that how we can minimize this waste of investment. So that is where this process comes into picture, where we start with the initial experimentations or the customer interaction without putting our effort into a development, right? So that's why we call it as a pre-exploration or exploration. And that's where we kind of assess the market, assess the customers, and then we see that if that's the really potential, then we go ahead with the more investment. And this investment comes step by step. It is not the one shot investment. So whenever we feel that okay, this is not working as per the expectation, there is a gates which close the gates, and we have to discard all the efforts or all the investment, or not the investment, but the effort that we have put in, right? So that's the pivot that is there in the corporate world.
I take a slightly nuanced approach to that. Okay, we do fail fast, right? We do fail early, but we fail internally. You wouldn't hear about it, right? Apple, iPods, earpods, when they made the famous iPhone, they tried two approaches. One was to make an iMac smaller, and another one was made to make an iPod bigger or something like that, right? And one of the approaches succeeded. So they are testing, they are validating, but it's happening internally, it's not visible. Corporates do not visibly test because it impacts brand image, right? Even when we launch the product that we are confident in, we launch it as a beta, right? Because we don't know the unknown. For a corporate, brand image risk is high. For a corporate, trying many things is not usually feasible because our cost of resources are much higher. The basic operating cost is much higher, right? But the expectation for ROI from investors is much higher than a startup. So therefore, it is a more studied approach and internal approach. And in the riskier cases, I have seen most corporates, including mine, simply wait for a startup to become successful to buy it, like you said, Manisha. I mean, what's more easy, right? Money is not a constraint, but success and predictability towards investors is a definite criteria that comes into picture. And therefore, we evolve based on the resources we have. Startups' resource is lack of overhead, lack of responsibility, lack of an existing customer base that they have to migrate across. An existing customer base is one of the biggest, millstone around the neck or delaying factor to do radical innovation. Simple as that.
I see a lot of fingers being pointed at startup, Souvik. Yeah. Before you answer, I want to add to the question so that you can answer it well. We all know that there is kind of a bandwidth with the corporate to maybe take a certain level of risk, and definitely they fail internally, as Gaurang and Aditya are mentioning. But experimenting with untested tech can be risky, and with everything startup being at the max speed, because they have to drive efficiency, they have to deliver result faster, they have to gain funding as well. What framework or criteria do you use to decide whether you want to adopt a new technology or you are sticking to something proven? How
So
much of a risk are you allowed to test, or how do you take those risks? What is your mindset behind the level of risk that is being taken at a startup to reach to a conclusion on what type of technology they are going to use?
So, see, startup needs to move faster, but untested technology can be risky. So, the test choices impact can be scalability, can be cost, or a higher decision. The PP frameworks is for making the tech decision which we use. Either is the problem fit, does the new tech solve real user pain point, or it's a product life cycle. Is the startup still in MVP code, or does it need scalability? On people and resources. Does the team have the expertise to implement and maintain it? So, when we wanted to experiment with new tech, we say that if it is improved speeds, efficiency, or differentiation, if the existing solution cannot scale, and if it is along with long-term product goals. And it is proven risky if the new tech creates unnecessary complexity, and if the startup lacks the expertise to maintain it, and it delays the time to the market part. Waited until the broadband speed improved before going in all live streaming. Lesson: right timing matters when adopting a new technology. They would have adopted to take a broadband connection and start with the innovation and technology, but they waited. When the new technology came up, they just directly jumped into their technology's existing platform, and now they can see where it is now.
Definitely. So you are very confident about the risk levels that is being taken. It consists of lot of implication as well, and what lies ahead in the. So you have to, I think, be a two-step faster then everyone here, I mean, as in like corporate, they can use the given technology, but for startup, you have to be 2 step ahead. You should be aware of all the new technologies, and you also have to think about how to imbibe those technology to be better than other startup competitor that you have, right? Like, so with AI and data science coming into the picture, do you think any emerging trend that you think is going to impact the product innovation in the next few years?
It is there. The AI innovation is still in the like early, early phases, because you can see that AI is there everywhere, but still the AI can't be used in everywhere still now. Because if you see that corporate enterprises, businesses, they are not still adapted to AI, because it's very risky for them to open the data to open world and to share it across the globe. I think the most, if it's a startup point, the most thinking which I'm able to see is that the customer support part, customer experience, and plus the RPA and the IoT automations.
You think that human resource would be substantially cut down because of the AI? How what do you think? Product innovation, is it at risk because of the AI that is coming up in the picture?
Gaurav, you'd like to go first?
Yeah, sure. Why not? So first of all, there is no, I mean, in a recent, the technology that we are seeing right now, there is no chance to eliminate the human. Human always be there in the loop for sure. But about your the first question, which is about the trends, right? Trends in AI, which is something that is we started using it in everywhere, in every kind of solutions, in every kind of problems that we identify, right? And how we always look at that, how we can solve the problems with using the technologies. Because, for example, for me particularly, the agentic AI and no, the multi-agent system, which is something that is right now very trending. And this technology, because we are seeing that AI model, it takes the AI model beyond the capability to handle the, for example, the single task. It also manage the multiple tasks and solve the problems at the entire problem itself, right? So this is where it's kind of taking AI to the next level, which is the intelligence system. And when we say that intelligence system, we are also at the same time, we are saying that we are reducing the human interventions in the process. But that's something that we are reducing, but we are not eliminating, because the human always be required there. What will be changed here is the engineering skills. So, for example, right now we need engineers for certain skills like coding, but right now the coding can be done with the AI, and so we need some different skills or some more skills than top of those, the existing skill sets. So that's where we are looking at the AI and generative AI, and also about the innovation, right? What will be the impact on the product innovation? So thanks to this technology, now we have more of the innovations that are in our pipelines. Because of this technology can apply to everywhere. And that's why we try to go back to our existing solution, and then we see that, okay, how we can improve this solution using these technologies, right? How we can make it more faster, more reliable, more enjoyable, right? Because many engineers, mainly Gen Z, right? Gen Z, they don't want to write our traditional course, right? So for that, this technology is really a kind of the fun for them, right, to use it. And we have already anticipated and we already identified these kind of trends, and we started working on this direction. I think you can
So
maybe add
adding
some
to,
more
yes, adding
views.
to Gaurav, it's very like good that AI is being trending in everywhere. The more focus I think in the future state the AI will be is like more focus on ethics, and that is also one part of the solution that one startup is also working on.
Okay. So right now there is a startup. I was just trying to find the name of that startup, which is the fastest growing startup in Europe. I think they did something like 100 million ARR in their first 4 weeks. And this is a low-code, no-code startup, right? I'll get the name. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name right now. The point is, Gaurang, I agree with you. The upcoming trend is agentic AI. I mean, it's not my opinion. It's Satya Nadala's opinion. SaaS is dead. It's all agents from now on. And I agree. It's agents will do a lot of work. And what the future trend would be is it will move away from labor. Now, I am not able to decide as of now what would be AI going forward, because when the iPhone came out, there was this thought process that it's the great leveler. I can buy an iPhone. Someone who is a street vendor can buy an iPhone, and Satya Nadella himself, well, he won't buy an iPhone, but maybe someone else. Steve Jobs has the same iPhone that I have. It is possible. if I can poke out the cat. So it is not that rich enjoy luxuries that are out of reach for the poor or the middle class or the masses, essentially. With AI, the AI tech, the enormous investment it takes to make an AI. Now, you see only a few countries being able to make an AI. It was a big ego issue in India that we are not able to make an AI, and they said we will make an AI. So the ownership of the AI would be very centered. But then the AI also causes a lot of democratization because I don't need to hire 100 people. I can make the AI do it. And I can become a solo entrepreneur, or there's a new term coming, a solopreneur. And so I can have agents working for me and I can just be the CEO, right? All that is nice. My whole question sitting in the corporate is, how do they scale? How do you deliver? Right? I can have 100 agents, but my GPU capacity is limited. That the cost factor will come into play for scaling. And that I'm wondering how that will get replaced. Right? I can, one end, we'll have the Amazons and the Microsofts and the Googles of the world, DeepSeeks of the world who own the AI platform. But then their capacity is limited. Right? On the other hand, we will have solopreneurs coming up using these AI capabilities to make a lot of innovative products. But space which I am confused about and I don't know what's going to happen is how the heck are they going to scale? How are you going to go and build an app that is used by thousands and thousands of people? How are you going to maintain it? And where are you going to get the AI capacity to do that from? Eventually, it will stop. And why I say it's a problem and why I say it will not affect jobs that much. The nature of jobs will change, but jobs will not change is because there was this age-old paradox called Jeevan's paradox. Jeevan was an economist and he spoke about coal and steam engines. But that is still being validated through the ages using petroleum. Whenever you make something more efficient, the usage doesn't come down, it goes up. So even if we make AI more efficient, we eliminate coders because coding becomes more efficient. There will be solopreneurs who will go out and make more apps and therefore use more code. So therefore, there will be a lot of people who will be working on delivering and scaling this. And there'll be a lot more apps out there, which will cause more confusion. And eventually, you'll need a human to show the way out. Right? So the nature of jobs will change, as in the Industrial Revolution. Crafts went away and people went into factories, but the factories had jobs. Right? So the nature of job changed. Jobs are not going away. But yes, AI has come here to stay and AI will accelerate us, ready or not. It's going to take you 0 to 100. If you're not ready for it, it's going to be hard. You might slam into a wall. But if you're ready for it, you can ride the wave.
Right, Aditya, as you...
Yeah, so
go
Adi,
ahead.
adding to that, you are perfectly on the spot, right? For you are being the AI is being promoted and is being used in every use case. Your companies are struggling with scaling and the energy, how they will put into it. To add on this, Google and Amazon are collaborating with startup who are working on the green energy, so that because they also are aware that the dust to power this much of power this much of data, they need energy, and they are working with the startups to promote the green energy part.
Yeah. So this is uncertain, right? Will AI be the great leveler and democratizer that everybody has got power, or will the power of AI be restricted in the hands of a few? And even if it is restricted in the hands of few, how are we going to scale and deliver the benefits of AI to the masses?
Yeah, so Adi, great point you have made. I think, Souvik, you have added to that how startups are bringing in the concept of green energy, and that definitely green energy is the way to go. Every company is focusing on green energy as well. Also, I think like with that, corporate should also focus on utilizing AI optimally. If you cannot, if you know that there could be a bandwidth crunch eventually, there should be a model to distill all that, because especially with AI, there's LLM that are going to be in the picture and they consume a lot of space, and definitely that is going to be a challenge, Adi, as you put forward. That's totally correct. But I think if you give tool to a right person, if you utilize the tool in a right way, the outcomes would be great and will have a greater impact. But
Yes.
Again, if you give it to a fool, then the doom is there, obviously. So everything has its pro and con. At the same time, as you are thinking, I'm pretty sure there must be some startup who has already been thinking and must have started doing something about it, because startups, as we know, that they work two steps ahead of what else is doing. And maybe I think you can think of buying some those kind of startup in future. Who knows that?
Manisha, adding to this, I know you are from the service industry. How does this helps you? Like, how do you are cooperating with the innovation or strategy and this technology shift, good technology, bad technology? How you cope with this part of?
Okay, so that's an amazing question. And being from service industry, there's a lot of stigma around the how can a service industry be a part of product innovation. Rather, mostly they act as a technology enabler. But the firm that where I work in, we have multiple clients and they have similar problem statement. So we have multiple case studies already available with us. So in terms of AI as well, the project that I'm working in right now, they have started looking into how we can infuse AI with the existing system that we have. And for that, we have 5 different type of answer already present with us. What we have to do is to get some approvals, get some licensing, and customize it with the customer need. So from our end, we are kind of we co-innovate product with them. There could be a chance that it's not our brainchild. Okay, that can be definitely a situation. If you give me a problem statement, I can think it through. I have a lot of case studies. You don't have to go to the market, do the user research, ask questions, take validation. We all have all that done with us. So we directly jump into how we can create bigger impact, partnering. And that's where you secure a deal and other service industry company they don't, because again you are ahead and you have more partners, you have done more research around that. So from service industry point of view, definitely there is a limited opportunity, but if you are really into that level wherein your voice is heard, and you have a very good client who listens to you, definitely there's a huge opportunity to co-innovate together. And that's where product innovation comes from service industry as well. Yeah, that's one thing I want to add. And from industry point of view, we talk about client and vendor relationship or client partner relationship. And we understand, I mentioned one, if the client is good, they give you the opportunity to co-innovate. And this cannot be only with client and the vendor relationship. This must be inside each of your company, wherein there is red tapeism. We have gone through question about how to make a product innovation strategy successful, and Adi, Gaurang, they mentioned like, okay, there's approval, we take a lot of approval. So, and approvals, there are levels of approvals. And I know that because I take so many approvals, there are biases around it. And that's a human behavior, right? That's how company make and break things. So I'll open this forum to all of you. Do you think that bureaucracy or red tapeism exists only in corporates, or does it exist in startup as well? Or do you think that startup has an upper hand because they have less approvals to take, so they are innovating something faster, or how does it go? It is everywhere. I have
Yeah,
no clue. I want to
you know,
get the
yeah,
answers.
innovation is faster, but the process and I think is still, I think, not like the the corporate companies, like 10 levels, but still we have like 3 to 4 levels of approval still required.
I think of innovations in startup and corporate. Okay, I am a sci-fi geek. Okay, so when you come to innovation in a corporate, it's more like Star Trek.
Knew
Everybody's
he was
shooting
going
at
to
each other.
quote Star Trek, and I was going to tell Star Wars, and then I stopped myself because I knew I was going to mess it up. Please, Adi, go ahead. Talk about your Star Trek reference.
Okay, I will not take the Star Wars reference. Then I will take the Matrix reference. So there is a Neo, there is a hero, right? So in startup, there is this hero, an intuitive leader who just knows the right thing to do. And you just follow that leader, right? Elon Musk. He knows what is true. Like, cut 50% of X, just fire that. Yeah, everything will be fine. It was fine. Okay. But then there are leaders who are more democratic and who take everybody and who go together because they want to have a diverse view, and they think of things like diversity and inclusions are important things. Right? These are two very different kind of leaders who innovate. All right. And one is not right or the other one is not wrong. The point is you need a decisive leader when you're operating in a high risk, unknown environment, right? And you need an inclusive leader when you are operating something which is like a huge battleship or a huge freighter, which has got thousands of moving parts and 50 people responsible for things. You have to have everybody on the same page, right? So not one is better than the other, but you would try to experiment radically and a small scale, and then you would want stability at a large scale. So if I drove a bike, or rather if I drove a big bus, the way I would drive a bike and swing and swerve, obviously you'll call me reckless, but for a biker, you may not call them a reckless because they're much smaller, right? So it is depending on the situation. And startups are where you validate risky concepts, but when a startup matures, they become a corporate, or a corporate takes them out, and then they become a part of the structure. So both are required, essentially.
Okay, Adi, I really like your example of bike and bus. Just to add one more thing here, that still in the corporate, there are different type of leaders, like you said, like Elon Musk, or some leaders like Democratic, right? They consider all the opinions and then take the decision. And on top of it, that there should be one governance model, right? Which makes sure that all this happening in some controlled manner, controlled level, right? So some leader like Elon Musk in the corporate company, they cannot take a decision like left and right? So there has to be a one governance model, and which of course reduce the speed or kind of takes the time to innovate, but it makes sure that it is not something that really impact on the company's future, right? Branding, reputation, and all these things, right? So this is something that we usually find this kind of model on top of all the leaders as well.
So I think the startup win by moving fast and corporate win by leverage scale. And the best innovator is that who opt for both approaches, combine both approaches.
Great.
I agree with Souvik. This is not much of I thought there would be a lot of difference of opinion. It's like agreeing on everything.
I was thinking the same thing, like whatever
End goal
question
is
I
the
throw,
both
somehow everyone is on the same page.
The end goal is that both corporate or the startup are solving the consumer's need only.
Okay, so we are almost on time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask a rapid fire question. No explanation needed. Okay, I'm going to ask rapid fire question one by one to each one of you, and you have to give one answer to that. Okay, so I'll start with Gaurang. Gaurang, what do you think? Who launches product faster? Is it startup or corporate?
Startup.
Okay, Souvik, who spends more on R&D? Startup or corporate?
So corporate.
A very honest answer. And Adi, who do you think takes bigger risk, startup or corporate?
Corporate.
Okay. Why so?
Okay. Now I knew you would ask me that. See, who spends more on R&D? Corporate. Right? Therefore, who takes greater risk? Obviously, corporate.
Nice. That's
Right?
a new perspective, definitely.
Yeah. See, there's a lot to risk on a corporate. There is the brand, there is the positioning, there is the existing market base, there's migrating customers from current application to a disruptive innovation. Oh my God, it changes the problem. And therefore the reason they think so much is because there's that much of risk associated with it. A corporate moves faster because there is lesser risk associated with it inherently. Yeah, a corporate can stop. A startup will fail. Yes. But what gets impacted? How many people get impacted?
Like, I think the corporate has a lower risk because the corporate take the research and everything to make sure that research is low. Then only they invest on that product.
There is risk. Big money, big risk. Small money, small risk. So,
No, but Adi,
Okay.
I have a different perspective here, because the risk that startup is taking, which kind of put them in so it's a question of their existence. If there is a risk, right? Maybe they take some risk, and maybe the next day there will not be a startup anymore, right? They have to shut down, for example. But for the corporate, they can take a risk, but it's not kind of the risk related to their existence. They can maybe lose something, some reputation, some branding, but still the existence will be there, and they can recover those things in the future.
it's like you're saying this flying is risk free because there have been very few accidents. But road is very risky because there are more accidents. But when you go and look at the actual technology, you are suspended in the air. It was inherently risky and people put so much investment that now it has become safe. So it depends on how you look at it. For if you say absolute risk, I think corporate is more, or rather flying is more risky. And because it is more risky, people invested more in making it safe. And now therefore flying is one of the safest means of transport. But if I'm suspended in midair, hurtling at enormous speeds in a small tube, aluminum tube, I think it is risky. Inherently. You can agree to disagree, but if the question is of absolute risk, I would say the reason corporate startups are so radical in their approach is because they can afford the risk. And the reason why corporates are not radical in their approach is because they cannot take risk. And the reason they cannot take risk is because they have a lot to lose.
True.
Let's agree to disagree.
I will agree. Yeah, I was about to say that let's agree to disagree. So, quick question, and this will be the last one. What is the success metrics at your company, Souvik, or what is the success metrics general in startup? What do you think?
The successful metric in the startup is that early adoption. Straightforward is that if your consumer that doesn't adopt to your problem and solutions, then you won't grow.
What about you, Adi? What's your success metrics?
The success metric would be product market fit. Okay, that's basic 0 to 1. And then it would be lifespan extension. Or no, I won't call it in terms of product. Let me put it in terms of customers. Is holding on to maximizing the customer's lifetime value and then maximizing the number of customers. It's all about profit.
That's the word I was looking for. Gaurang, what about you? Is it same for all the corporates, or your company has a different vision?
I would share my experience, my views on it. So when we say innovations, because in corporate there are many innovations parallelly going on, and there are many, the innovation turning into a solution, then we kind of start selling to our customers. So when we look at the revenue generated by this innovation, let's say last 2 years innovations, and the revenue which is company is generating because of its the long decades business. So if we compare that ratio, right, that's something that we need to measure, because when we want to really accelerate in the innovations, we need to quickly launch the innovations in the market, and we kind of collect the revenue, generate the revenue out of it. So this ratio is very helpful to understand, okay, how innovative our company is, how we are generating from the innovations, not from our traditional business, for example.
With that was a great session. That's a wrap for today. In today's conversation, we discussed about how product innovations shapes in startup and corporate. And as I thought that it would be kind of a debate, which I was really hoping for, it opened my eyes to the actual context. It's not much of a difference, right? Like basically everybody is working towards the same goal, to ensure that they meet customer need in the best possible way, depending on let us say, the company potential to hold and manage the risk. There are different innovation methodology and strategies that are being taken up in startup and in the corporate, I believe. And we had great insights from our incredible guests on risk taking and we work on scaling and how do we work on ensuring that we hold to our brand image. And we were just discussing offline that reaching to the top, which is 0 to 1, definitely takes a lot of guts, but maintaining oneself at the top is even more difficult task because there is a lot at stake. Aditya, Souvik, Gaurang, thank you so much for joining. Please, huge round of applause for all of you. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your experience. And guys, our viewers, don't forget to subscribe, like and share our channel. If you like this video, please do post your comments and please be a part of our community on LinkedIn. Join Product Leader Guild. The link will be in the description. We post product related cool stuffs over there. Until next time, keep innovating, keep building and stay curious. See you. Thank you. Thank you
so much.
everyone.